Welcome to the ultimate strategy for video conversions. In this video, I am going to break down all the different tools inside of Vidalytics, how to use them and when to use them, and which ones you want to combine together to get the maximum effectiveness from your videos to really drive conversions. And a lot of the stuff I'm about to be sharing with you is based on real world split tests that we've done with users, sometimes into the hundreds of thousands of plays on each variation, so that there's a lot of data behind the information that I'm about to share with you. So I'm in my account here on the settings page of the video that we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be using this as an example to go through step by step so that you know exactly which settings that you want to use for your own videos. And specifically, this video is already on this page. This is actually from another one of my own businesses that gets traffic and makes sales and has driven a lot of different conversions. So we're going to be using this as an example that we're going to be referring back to just so that we have a real world example. And this isn't theory. This is actual practical information that you can use and that I use in a variety of different businesses and with the biggest users that get onboarded to Vidalytics when they join us. All right, so let's dive right in. So first off, we're going to be editing the style of the video. So in here, we have two different color settings, and you may be wondering, what is text color? Well, text color is really kind of going to be the controls on the video player and any messages that appear on top of it. That's going to make more sense as we go through some of the other settings here. And some of those, such as Smart Autoplay and Resume Play, they have their own individual color settings, but not all of them do. So in the absence of those settings that don't have their own individual color setting, it's going to defer back to this kind of master control right here, which is called text color. And then background color is the color behind the controls here. So it's kind of this drop shadow here. You can see that it's black. It's also transparent. So it's not like a solid black color that really is too strong or anything like that, but that makes the controls kind of pop so that it's easier to see. So the first thing that you want to do is that you want to adjust these so that they match your brand, that they match your website so that it looks good on your page. Typically, I recommend using colors that are going to pop a lot, but for the colors on the actual player, you don't necessarily want those to pop. You want them to blend with your website. So I am a huge fan of blue, probably because I have blue eyes. But a lot of the different companies and brands and logos that I've created over the years always kind of tend to be blue. The people on my team give me crap for it, but those are the types of colors that I like. So you can just apply one of those settings right here and then refresh the page, and you're going to see exactly what it looks like. So that you can see right here, all these different color settings are now, or these controls are now blue. All right, so black as the background, I like that. The only time that I would really strongly advise against having black, and it's up to you ultimately, but if you're gonna have the controls, the foreground controls on the player be black as well. If so, then it's just gonna kind of be a bit too dark and hard to see. So next up, we're gonna adjust the different settings here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some changes as I like to do. I like to remove the small play button, the seeking bar, and the full screen option. And I'll tell you why. The small play button is more of a preference, right? But it's the one that goes here in the bottom left-hand corner. And this is just one that, you know, I like to remove just kind of to keep things simple so that there's not too many distractions on the video player when somebody is watching it. So that's more of a preference on my side. But the seeking bar and the full screen are very important to remove depending on what type of video that you're dealing with here. So a lot of the different videos that wind up on Vidalytics from our users tend to be longer form videos where they're selling premium products and services, meaning that they command a higher price. And if you have a seeking bar on your player, well, then people are going to kind of abuse that and jump to the very end of your video and just check out what the price is of what you're selling is. And the problem with that is if that person hasn't been properly educated on the differences between your product and the competing ones, well, then they're just going to make an up or down, uneducated decision based on price. And if your price is higher, well, then you're going to lose out in that equation. So you don't want that to happen. So if you have a video that really kind of explains the differences between you and your competitors, why you're different, why you're better, and why it actually makes sense to spend more money on your product or service, well, then you're absolutely going to want to remove the controls from your video, because that's going to allow people to go through it linearly as the video was created, as the video was intended to be watched step by step, so that they get all the proper information before they actually get to that end of the video where the price is revealed. So that is why I recommend removing the seeking bar. The exception to this would be if you have a shorter video or maybe a testimonial video, like a secondary video that's going to be on the page, something like that, where it's not as much high stakes, where you're doing as much educating and differentiating against competitors and things like that. So full screen, this one is something that is probably not as obvious as the seeking bar. I imagine a lot of you already are kind of aware that you want to remove the controls from your video so that people can't jump ahead. But with full screen, oftentimes people leave that there because they think, well, if they're on mobile, I want them to be able to watch it on their entire screen because they're already dealing with very little real estate in that case. But here's the deal. And this is a universal thing with all video players. It doesn't matter. It's not just Vidalytics, YouTube, anybody else is going to have the same exact situation where if a video goes full screen on a mobile device, then the phone's operating system actually takes over the player for that video. And what that means is that the phone's operating system is going to add back the seeking bar to the video player when it goes full screen on mobile devices. And this is true for Windows, Androids, and of course iPhones as well. So if you want to remove the seeking bar so that people can't jump ahead and that they get properly educated before making a decision based on the price, well, then you also want to remove the full screen option from the controls as well, so that they're not going full screen on mobile devices and seeing that seeking bar jumping ahead and then ruining the whole kind of sequence of the video. And if you're not sure how much mobile traffic you have, you can actually go over to your stats page inside of Vidalytics. And this is for the same video that we're dealing with over on the settings page. And we can see, I've added the device segment here on the left. And don't worry, we have another video that breaks down all the different stats and how to use segments and things like that. So this is just a quick preview of the Vidalytics stats. But you can add a device segment here and then see how much mobile traffic you have. And in the case of this video, it looks like it's about 15% of the overall traffic that hit this video. Now, that's pretty low. A lot of other videos and users on Vidalytics are gonna have mobile traffic anywhere between 40 and 80% of their overall plays. So in those cases, they're gonna definitely wanna remove those the full screen option just so that they don't get the seeking bar added there. Now, the other options here that I added on, I'm going to go over real quick. So the big play button here, this is the play button in the middle of the screen. This is in case the smart autoplay that I'm going to also recommend here in a moment gets blocked from the operating system of the device that you're on. We do our absolute best to have the widest device coverage, but really there are thousands of combinations of different devices and browsers, especially when you get into the mobile world. And some of these browsers are really obscure ones that are baked in with the phone's operating system, like Samsung has its own browser and some things like that. So in those cases, sometimes the smart autoplay gets blocked at a deeper level than just the browser. But you're going to find out that using Vidalytics, we have a play rate of around 91% on average. Okay, so that means that 91% of the time, smart autoplay works. And 9% of the time, at least in the case of this particular video, which is going to be unique from video to video, but 9% of the time in this case, the smart autoplay got blocked or broke due to some kind of bug inside of the browser or something like that. So in those cases, when the smart autoplay doesn't work, then you're going to want to have a big play button on there just so that it's clear this is a video and that, the person should click it, they should engage with it and start watching it. All right, now the other controls that I leave on are the volume ones, and this is a bit of a preference, but this is just in case the viewer wants to adjust this at all and just so that they have it and that they can use it if they want to. And then the other one here is our speed settings, and this is a toggle where it's just going to speed up to as much as 2x the speed of the video if they click it up to this. And this is one that I personally really like, both as an individual viewer and as a video marketer myself, because maybe I'm just impatient or a little ADD. That certainly could be the case, but if something is going really slow or I already know the information or I'm in a rush, then I want to get it as quickly as possible. And normally, if this was a salesperson type situation where the viewer was talking to a salesperson, either on the phone, in person, or something like that, they would be able to ask questions and kind of speed things up on their own by engaging with the individual. But the video is really kind of a one-way street where they can't do that type of stuff, where they can't ask questions and they can't really kind of jump to the information that they care about most. most. So allowing them to speed it up really kind of puts the controls back into the hands of the viewer so that they're going to get the experience that they want. And we want them to be able to watch the video however they want, as long as it's not like jumping ahead with the seeking bar and or anything of that nature. So that does it for the controls, except for the drop shadow. And this is one that most people are going to be able to just ignore and not worry about at all, but we've added it in there just so that you have the most control possible in case you want to adjust anything like this. And the drop shadow is going to be this slight black shadow behind the controls here. And we've added this in case you just think that that doesn't look nice. And really the cases where it looks the worst is where if you have black as your foreground color, well then the drop shadow is going to make these controls kind of look blurry, and they're going to be harder to read, and they're not going to be as crisp. But otherwise, they really kind of make the controls pop. So most of the time they're going to be a nice touch, something that you want to add in there, but just in case you want to remove them, it's there for your choosing. All right. Now next, let's talk about thumbnails. So Vidalytics is going to default to a random frame in your video as its thumbnail. But you're going to want to have a nice thumbnail even when you use Smart Autoplay, just to have a backup in case anything happens to Smart Autoplay, as I already explained. So you can choose a thumbnail by mousing over your video like such and going and finding a frame inside of it that looks really good. You just click wherever you want it, and then you would click yep. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to show you how you can also upload a thumbnail by just choosing one on your computer. So the idea here though is that you want to choose a thumbnail that's going to be very attention grabbing, right? That's going to have bright colors, that's maybe going to have some text that really kind of demonstrates the benefits, the reason why somebody should watch your video. And you're going to notice that we have a mobile thumbnail, a regular thumbnail, and an exit thumbnail. Now the first two are traditional thumbnails that you're familiar with that show on top of a video before it plays. And the mobile thumbnail is going to mirror the desktop or regular thumbnail all of the time unless you set it individually. And this is just in case you want to have some extra control, some extra granularity on mobile devices with a different thumbnail. Most people aren't going to be using this feature, but it's there if you want it. But the feature that I really want to show you in this section here is the exit thumbnail. This is one of the coolest features inside of all of Vidalytics. And this is where you can upload a thumbnail like such, and this is going to act like an exit pop on your videos. Meaning that if somebody tries to leave your page, exit your video, well, what are they going to do right before they do that? They're going to pause your video. So when they pause your video, that actually means that it's a clear-cut sign that they're about to leave your page entirely. So what happens with an exit thumbnail is that if they pause the video, that thumbnail pops up and it shows, and they've never seen this thumbnail before, right? It only happens when they pause, and it's kind of like a last-ditch effort for you to grab attention and to bring them back into the video so that they continue to watch it. So you can see why it's like an exit intent, and that's why we call it an exit thumbnail, because they're about to exit, so it's your opportunity to grab their attention like such. So I would highly recommend that you choose a juicy thumbnail that's going to grab attention, demonstrate the demonstrate the benefits of watching the video, but then also make sure that you set an exit thumbnail for maximum engagement with your videos. Now next up, let's talk about Smart Autoplay. Smart Autoplay is one of the coolest and one of the most effective features in all of Vidalytics. So much so that we turn it on by default for every video that's uploaded to our system. So you can turn it off if you want to, but we don't recommend it. And the reason why is because it's been proven to really increase conversions, just like it did here for Brent Messer. So Brent had a video that was doing really, really well, and he turned on Smart Autoplay, and that was the only difference that he made over a click to play video. And it increased his conversion rate by 49%. And the reason why Smart Autoplay is so effective is because the browsers are now blocking videos from playing automatically with sound. And here's the thing though, it's called Smart Autoplay because not all of the time videos are going to be blocked from autoplaying with sound. And also not all browsers are blocking videos from autoplaying with sound. So what makes this feature smart is that it will detect if the browser is going to block the video from playing with sound, and if so, then it's going to default to playing on mute with an overlay on top of it. So let me show you what that looks like here. So right here, you can see that the video has started automatically playing. It's playing in the background. This is not a GIF. This is actually the video. And this is 100% white hat. So this isn't something that you're gonna get in trouble for with any kind of traffic source or with Google Chrome or something like that. But this is the video that's automatically playing. It has this overlay on top of it, which we'll customize this in just a moment here. But what's really cool is when the user clicks anywhere on the video, it doesn't matter where, it will actually restart the video from the very beginning and it will start playing on sound. So that's what makes it smart. So you have the front and center option here, which we just saw. You can also change the overlay style to be classy in the corner. This is nice if you're more of doing kind of branding or if you just want more of the video kind of showing. You can see this is what it looks like where it's just classy in the corner. That's why we named it that, but it behaves the same exact way. So I could click way over here, not on any particular button, and it's still gonna restart the video from the very beginning and it's gonna be on sound. I just have my browser muted here so it doesn't distract from the training that we're doing here together. And then we also have a third overlay option here, which is called loud and in your face. And you're gonna see why it's called that in just a second here. All right, you can see it's very big and it's in your face, but this one here is way too much white, okay? Because the video is a lot of white, so that doesn't look so good. So this is one of the settings in Vidalytics that has its own individual color options. So we can change the color here, and this is one where I would recommend that you make this a bright color that's really gonna grab attention so they know exactly what to do. So right here, we can see that this is pretty obvious. Your video is playing, click to unmute. And again, just like the other overlay styles, they can click anywhere on it and it starts from the very beginning. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that the front and center one is the message style that we recommend by far the most. Not only do we think it looks the best, but also this was split tested against other options by Steve Weatherford's team before he came over and joined the Vidalytics family as one of our users. So he had tested a bunch of different styles, and this is the one that they found after a bunch of data behind it that this is the one that converted the best. So we built it identically as they had it so that we would get that lift in conversions for the rest of our users as well. Now, something else is if you want to add any additional text here, you can do that. So you can make this type of text really kind of jump out to anything specific for your user. Like this is your anxiety reports, or this is your docuseries has started. Anything that's going to be specifically tailored to really kind of have the message resonate with exactly what that user is expecting. Anytime that the user sees a video and it's in congruence with their expectations, that's going to increase the conversions. That's going to increase the engagement because that's what they're expecting. If they see something they weren't expecting, then it's going to throw them off and they're going to think, wait, what is this? And they're going to stop and pause and maybe choose the bail, and you don't want that. So you can customize this text to say anything that you want. And you can also add HTML tags in here like this one here. So this little bit of code that I typed into the text field here is a line break in HTML. So I'll show you what this will do in just a moment. Click to unmute is what I'm going to add. And all right, and now we're going to refresh the page. And we can see that now that extra bit of text is added, but it's also on its own line. So it just forces that in there to start on a new line of text so that it's easier to read. And I'll show you what it looks like here. If we remove that, these are going to get kind of merged together. Yeah, so you can see that this first one kind of runs together and it's harder to read. It's not as kind of clear what the call to action is to unmute the video by clicking. So that's really nice to add a line break right there. All right, now you have advanced options under Smart Autoplay, and most of the time you're not going to want to touch these, but if you want to get nitty gritty, I'm going to show you what they are. So the first one is unmute and restart. This is one that I would highly recommend that you leave on unless you're doing something like a live event, right? So if you're doing an automated kind of webinar type of funnel where the video is playing and it's not supposed to restart, because somebody's kind of joining like a kind of presentation in progress, that is the time that you would want to untick this this option here and have it be where it's not going to restart the video. Next is always muted. Sometimes people don't want to be too aggressive, and we do this a lot for our users because the people that use Vidalytics are marketers. They're familiar with this stuff. We're not going to have kind of any gimmicks that are going to really kind of fool them or anything like that. So we want to be polite, have a nice kind of user experience where it's not going to have the video playing with sound on certain browsers, such as Internet Explorer. So you can turn that on if you want it to always play with this overlay. I'm in Chrome right now, so Chrome is going to opt to block the autoplay with sound. So that's why Vidalytics is defaulting to the autoplay on mute with the autoplay message on top of it here. And then mobile autoplay, this is exactly what it sounds like. This smart autoplay is going to work just the same exact way as it is here on this desktop on mobile devices as well. So that's a really, really nice feature. That makes it much more engaging on mobile devices because a lot of video players don't do that. And a lot of users, viewers of videos that are going to wind up watching your videos are not used to seeing that either. So it's kind of a novelty thing, seeing that movement and seeing the video automatically play. It's going to increase that engagement, which ultimately leads to higher conversions. And then go full screen on unmute. For the same reasons why I wouldn't recommend having the full screen option enabled for your controls. I wouldn't enable this unless you really kind of go in with eyes wide open and you know that on mobile devices, it's going to show that seeking bar because of the phone's operating system. And do keep in mind that this feature, the go full screen on unmute, also works on desktops as well as mobile devices. So there are some cases where it could be a really nice feature to use as long as you kind of know what you're doing and you go in with eyes wide open. And then the different mobile message. This is just where if you enable it, then it's going to give you a different field of text to edit where you can customize this so that it's tailor-made for mobile devices. So a good example here would be to change this to be tap to unmute. So it'd be like your video is playing, tap to unmute, like such, as opposed to click. Minor touch, but it's just a little bit more congruent for mobile devices. And this isn't something that is really going to make a big difference or something that you need to worry about that much of the time. So that's why it's kind of tucked away here into the advanced settings. All right, now next up is play options. This is another one of Vidalytics' very cool features called Resume Play. And what's so nice about this is that if somebody has already started watching your video and they leave and come back, then they're gonna get a screen like this that says you've already started watching this video, resume watching, or start from the beginning. And this is really great because one thing that really kills conversions is being boring. Where somebody and nothing is more boring than somebody having to watch this same exact video twice. If maybe it's 30 minutes long, they've watched half of it, they leave, come back, and then they gotta start over from the very beginning because you've removed the controls from the video. So this puts the power, the control back into the hands of the viewer so that they get to watch the video as they wish. And if they need a refresher, they can start from the beginning or they can pick up where they left off and just cut right to the chase. So this is a really cool thing to enable that I would recommend for everybody. And another thing here, under advanced options, you can customize the text that's on top of the video when they return to it. And this is great for our international users. We have a lot of people in Germany that use us and they want to customize this text. So we give you the power to do that. And even if you are, using English as the language with your viewers, you still may want to customize this just so it's personalized and so it's really kind of focused on that viewer's experience as far as what they're expecting, what the video is about, etc. So you can customize this so that it has that message that really kind of hits them between the eyes and is what they're expecting so that they engage with it. And then the color settings on this, you can change these as well. And just like the smart autoplay, I would recommend a bright color that's really going to grab attention, such as red, so that it grabs that attention, they read it, you make sure that they absorb that message and that they engage with it. All right, next we have end of video action. So what happens when your video ends? So the first option is pause. That should be self-explanatory. The next one is loop, where it will just restart the video. And this is one that's really nice to enable if you're going to have smart autoplay enabled on a short video. Because maybe they land on the page, and if your video is maybe a minute long plus or minus, and they're dinking around and they don't get around to unmuting the video right away, well then it's gonna go to the very end, and if you don't have loop enabled, then it's gonna pause on that last frame because that's the default. So you would want to use loop in that case, or any other time that you just wanted to restart. And then the last option here is a bit more advanced, and this is where you can actually have the entire page redirect to another URL. So you would type in your URL here. You would want to make sure that you add the https://, which if you're not sure how to grab that, just go to the page that you want it to redirect to and just copy the entire URL address bar and paste that in here. And then the delay, this is where you can have the video not redirect immediately, but just kind of give them a few moments so that it's not an abrupt change, right? So they kind of know what happened. So I would recommend no more than 3 seconds like such. All right, so let me show you what this actually looks like in action. So I have it enabled on this video, and if we just jump to the end here, it's gonna end, it's gonna pause for about 3 seconds, and then it's gonna redirect, and I just set it to redirect to Google so that we could see it in action. But what you would wanna do for your funnel is have it redirect to the next step in your funnel. So if that's your order page where it has the different order options, or it has like a calendar kind of invite where they can book a time with you, whatever the next step, whatever the next action that you want them to take in your funnel, you would want to have this as your redirect option here. So this is a really nice feature. Some of our biggest users like Goer Chaudhry of Digital Sumo and Perfect Origins loves this feature. We actually built the delay in just for him because he uses it so much. So this is something that I would recommend for most users out there. The time that I wouldn't use it is maybe in that case where you have a really short video and it's on autoplay, just because if they hit the end, then it's going to redirect. So, but most people are not going to have a super short video, and really people are going to engage with your video fairly quickly. I would say at most it's going to take them 20-30 seconds to unmute the video. So this is something that most people should be taking advantage of. And then the final option, the final tool that's in the play options section here, is disable pausing. And this is where once you enable this, then the user is not going to be able to pause the video. And you're going to see here in the tooltip here, the instructions, is that this must be used with autoplay, because the controls are basically entirely disabled from the video. So if the autoplay is not enabled, well then they're not going to be able to start the video in the first place. So this is really nice if you're going to be doing a like live event. So just like I was saying, you might want to turn off the smart autoplay option. Let's see, the advanced option here to restart and unmute at the same time. If you're going to do that because you're doing a like live event, like an automated webinar, well then you would also want to disable pausing. So these two features, these two tools go hand in hand really nicely. All right, next up we have call to action. So these are call to action buttons that appear on top of your video at a specific time. So you can say whatever text you want here. Get started now is always kind of nice and safe. You would add in a link, which again, you would want to make sure that you add that HTTPS so that it works all the time. We're just going to have Google here and open in a new tab. I like that just so that, you know, they can still go back to the video if they want, but it's up to you. So having this enabled will open the link in a new tab, and disabling this option is going to have it where clicking the button is actually just going to go through to the next page from the tab that they're on right there. And then the time that you want it to appear, we can say maybe 3 seconds to 1 minute here. And let's save this and see what it looks like. All right, now I'm going to refresh. All right, our video is playing. I'm going to unmute it. It restarted, and bam, there it is. Get started now. All right, so I'm going to click this, and it takes us over to google.com. Now, one thing I'll point out here is that these colors on this button cue off of these ones right here. So you can see now why this is called text color, because this is literally the text color in this button, and then the background is the black. So those are call to actions, and you can have as many call to actions as you want. So if you have different kind of links that you want to drop throughout your video, you can do that. You just don't want any of them to overlap. And then as you add other ones, they're just going to stack up here, and you can delete them if you want to, like such. All right, now next we have tags. Now this is something that I would recommend for anybody that's able to set it up, and you'll understand what I mean here in just a moment. But tags basically allow you to know which one of your email contacts watched which videos and to which parts of that video. So which specific section of the video did they see? And this is done with a Zapier integration, which is on the left sidebar here under integrations. So you're going to enable this, fill out these instructions, and this is where it gets a little complicated because this is definitely one of our most advanced features. It requires a little bit of tech savvy, possibly even a developer to set up. And also, you're going to need to know who that person is before they watch your video. And you can do that either with an email opt-in on the page before they watch the video, or with maybe email traffic where you're emailing your list. And because of that, the reason why is because you need to pass basically the user, the viewer's identity to Vidalytics, and then we'll tell you how far they watched into the video. And that's typically done with a URL parameter, or it could also be done through our player API. So just from all the buzzwords that I just threw out at you, you can already tell that this is a pretty technical thing. But I'm still going to set one up here just so that you can kind of see it in action from the settings side. And don't worry, we have a video that does a deep dive on Zapier from A to Z, how to set it up, how the different parts work, and stuff like that. So you can go and watch that video. It's going to be sent out to your email inbox here in the next week or so, but it's also going to be in our help documentation if you want to jump over to it right away. So the tag name would be anything you want. So this doesn't really matter. You don't need to put a lot of thought into this, but it could be like saw price, okay? And then the time would be when when I want to fire this tag. So maybe I reveal the price of my product at minute 20 in my video. So I'm going to fire this tag at minute 20. And that's how that works. And then the fields here is what is the unique field that we're going to identify the viewer based off of. So this is typically going to be something like contact ID or like email address. So in that case, it could just be email. And you can see that now the field is set as email, and that's it. So from the settings side, this is very simple, but then setting up Zapier and passing that data over to us can get a little technical for you. So right into our support, if you need help with this, or keep an eye out for that video that's going to do a deep dive on the tagging inside of Vidalytics. All right, now we have conversions. Now this is something that most people can just entirely ignore, but this is where you would turn off tracking for any of your conversions for this particular video. Now this is something that is used when people have multiple brands in the same account and they have some overlap in traffic. So they don't want somebody hitting a conversions script and then tracking that back to the wrong video when they actually, were converting off of a different video or a different funnel, right? If they all wind up on the same receipt page. So that's a little bit of a nuanced kind of use case there. So we don't need to worry about it too much. Closed captions, also known as subtitles, is something that is definitely recommended if you have them, just so that people can follow along with what's being said in the video. And that way they really kind of absorb the information better. So some people like to do that. And of course, when this is enabled on the player, there's actually a closed caption button where people can turn it off if they don't like it. So it's really kind of puts the control into the user's hands. All right. And now on the final stretch here, we have replace video. Replace video allows you to replace this video on your website. So say it's over here on your website and you want to change the video here, right? But you don't want to go and get your web developer to replace the script or anything like that. You also don't want to worry about any downtime on your video because it has live traffic going to it. What you can do is come in here and choose any one of your videos. You can also search for the title and choose it. And it's going to ask you to confirm this. And it's going to give you this warning because this is a big deal. What's going to happen is, I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to replace this video. But what's going to happen is wherever this video is embedded on any web page out there on the interwebs, it's going to replace it with the video that you choose. Now you're still going to have both videos in your account. This one's going to be saved with a title that says basically replaced in brackets next to it. And then it's going to no longer be using the same embed code. So really nice for an easy swap out if you need to deploy a new video really quickly. Okay, so that does it for all the main features and tools for Vidalytics on this page, but I'm going to show you a few other things that are nice little gems to keep in mind. So the first one is, if you want to change the name of your video, you can do so here. So my new name, and that will automatically happen. Another thing is, if you want to share your video with somebody else on your team or outside of your organization, but you don't want to embed it onto a web page or anything like that to get them to be able to see it, and you don't want to give them access to your account, we have what's called a quick share. And this is where you can grab this link right here, and it will show you the video out there as a really kind of quick share link. So this is actually something that we use right here on our demo page. So if you're on Vidalytics homepage and you click on the demo link, it will actually take you to one of our quick share pages. And then embed, this is something for WordPress that you can read about in our help documentation. I won't go into it here for the purposes of this video. But another thing that I do want to point out on this page, or this little dialog box, is these different embed types. Now, 99% of the time, you're just going to use standard, which is asynchronous if you're techie. All right. Now, faster video play or synchronous is something that is going to be a little aggressive. And the reason why is it's going to block anything that's on the page below the video from loading until the Vidalytics player is fully loaded. So we've done some testing in the distant past where this worked better, but I wouldn't recommend it just because it can cause problems with the other kind of text scripts on your site. So for the best user experience, I would go with standard or asynchronous. But then the final option here is multiple videos. And if you have more than one video on the same page, then you're absolutely going to want to use this. The caveat that you want to keep in mind, okay, is that for the very first video that's going to be on the page, you're going to use standard, asynchronous. And then for any secondary video, so second, third, fourth, etc., no matter how many videos you want, after that very first one, you're going to want to choose the multiple embed option and use that to put it on your page. And what this does is that it's going to make all of those videos load super fast. And then the final thing that I'm going to show you on this page is the load settings option. So we just went through a lot of different settings here. To set this up, can maybe take you 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe longer the first time that you do it. And once you're done with that, you may not want to kind of go through all that clicking and tweaking on each individual video that you have to set up in your account. So this load settings option is a huge time saver where you can just search any video in your accounts, choose it, and then load it onto your video, and it's going to copy all of the settings from that video over to the one that you're loading it onto, including the thumbnails. So that does it for all the different tools and tactics inside of Vidalytics, how to combine all these different features and how to really maximize everything that you're getting with Vidalytics. So it's a powerful tool. It's easy to use, but it has a whole lot of power and it drives massive conversions when you take advantage of it, like I just showed you. So if you need any other help, feel free to reach out to us at hi@Vidalytics or through our chat box on any one of our pages, and we're here to help you. So happy selling. Have a great day.